Thread was the 51st sponsor, okay? You guys may have heard, we only had spots for 50, but at ICC ProveIt, all the sponsors that had been picked by the time we did ICC ProveIt, Thread came to ICC ProveIt and really just knocked it out of the park. Their technology is incredibly important to our future. And the module that they have for ignition is incredibly powerful. It is something I find highly, highly impressive. Not to mention Bob really knows his shit when it comes to, shall we say, unlocking the potential in the dark data in an organization to improve their operations. That's Bob's expertise. I am so impressed with their technology that I offered to pay to fly them here from New Zealand and have them come to the show for free, okay? They did, in fact, pay their way here, but I did offer to have them do that. So you guys are gonna see a very impressive presentation, and it is the framework for most of the work that we're all gonna be doing over the next 12 to 18 months. With that, Bob, go ahead, man. Yeah.
Dashboards are going to tell you what's wrong, but they're not going to tell you why things are wrong. If you want to figure out why, at the moment, you're probably going to daily meetings and shift handovers, asking human beings who have their own cognitive biases, their own subjective experiences. That's all very human, but it doesn't help you get to the bottom of things. Imagine if you could use natural language to ask questions of your factory and find the relevant data to answer those questions. And we're not just talking about a large language model sitting on raw data. That would just lead to hallucinations and would stop you from trusting the answers you're getting. Thread Cloud's knowledge graph allows you to build the context and the confidence and the trust to get the data that actually answers the questions that you've asked of your team. Thread Cloud isn't just for large enterprises where you have large teams of data scientists and data engineers and big budgets. Thread Cloud is affordable for small, medium businesses and accessible because we put the user at the heart of the context building experience. If you have a factory with data that has value waiting to be unlocked, Thread Cloud is for you. Really, it was a real cobbled together effort for this. Anyway, hey, it's very good to be here. Walker, we are very appreciative of your support and to also include inductive automation and particularly Travis Cox. It's fair to say we wouldn't be on the stage if we had those early believers. So next to me is my CTO, Hamish, the brains behind the operation. And today we are going to tell you about our product. So to start with though, I want to show you this scene. All right? I have stood in shop floors for 25 years, right? And I'm wanting to tell you a story, all right? That's happened to me lots of times. I'm driving into work, the night shift is leaving, I already have a foreboding that they haven't had a good night, right? They're telling us, look, we struggled with machines all night, right? We've got 14% waste. We're actually not making money. We're actually just losing money. But if we stop the line, we don't make our orders, all right? So you walk in and you go, right, well, I guess we better go to the meeting. So if you'd like to go to the next slide, Hamish. All right, so what do? I used to be the guy that didn't do a lot on OT data. I just made him do that. But I was steeped in all the continuous improvement language, right? I would teach people, right, this is how you write a fishbone analysis. This is how you do 5 whys. Make sure you turn up on time to the meeting. Make sure you're prepared. Trying to do all this behavioral stuff, right? But underneath that all was this gap in OT data. I knew it was there somewhere, but I just couldn't get at it,
right? And so what we do is we go to the meeting, we try to start in our best behavior, and eventually we start to guess. We do the old manufacturing coat of arms, right? It must be his fault, right? And we then go, well, that root cause, how do we know, how can we rule that out? Well, can't really. Who do we turn to? Controls engineer. Where's the data? It's probably buried in the bowels of ignition somewhere. I could go and get it, right? Come back, that's not quite it, right? And the frustration starts to build, right? Next slide. 8:27 a.m. You're still burning through money. You got nothing but bad choices, all right? Choices have to be made, right? Do you keep running and lose money, or do you stop the line and let your customers down? Okay? Everyone has data, no one has answers. Put your hands up if you've lived that experience. Okay, good. Because that's what we're here to answer. Okay, this is not a failure of people, right? It's a failure of context. Okay, now that word context, I've been getting a bit annoyed lately. I don't know if you've been reading my LinkedIn articles, but, and this happens when you get new tech, right? Everyone latches onto a word and goes, yeah, we do context, right? And it becomes part of the word salad that you guys have probably encountered all week, right? So context is a really, really, really tricky concept, okay? And so that is why we exist, to do that the best as possible. Okay? So today, compared to last ICC ProveIt, when we had a beta tool, we're here to announce Thread Cloud, all right? The system that explains your factory. Okay.
Let's do it.
Hamish, let's do it.
Okay, so this, for everyone that hasn't seen it, this is our Thread Cloud user interface. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we are going to install a module which connects us to our factory. So it's an ignition module. You can see here we've also got an AutoSol module as well. So what we can do is we can download either 8.1 or 8.3, and we then just need to define what it's going to be. And that then gives us a connection string. So we'll go in and we'll install our module. Now, we'll choose our file. So this is our Thread Cloud module. And I won't install it because I already have it here. And what you'll see then is a prompt for a connection string. So this connection string here, we can copy in, and we then are connected to our...
Okay, can I stop you there, Hamish? Okay, what have we just shown you? We've shown you how to connect to your factory in minutes, okay? Not, well, yeah, we bought the license, then we have to go through a whole review, then we need papal sign-off from the architect in Singapore that doesn't really care about your factory. No, this is a SaaS product. You have connected to your factory in minutes, okay? And you are now looking at the tags in the ignition gateway.
Yep, in this case we're just going to go straight into MQTT, and for the purpose of this demo we'll just select Site 3 and we'll enable. Okay, now we're connected. And if we go back to that picture we were looking at before, we now have our Site 3 coming through as a Russian doll of...
Yeah. What do you guys think you're looking at? A big mess? Why have we got a big mess? It's actually just all your tag folders, right, taken from Ignition, all in one ginormous Russian doll. Right, why have we done that? Well, it's fun to shuffle nodes. So Hamish is now going to show how to shuffle nodes. Bang. So what it's done is taken all the different folders and spaced them out. Okay? So it's your first look at all your data points in the assets. Right? It's your first guess, but you probably don't want your factory to look this way. Right? So we've given a really handy icon down the bottom there. Oh, actually, sorry, before we do that, Hamish is going to show you one data point. He's just clicked on one data point. And what you can see there is for that one data point, you see the event streaming in. Okay? That gives you confidence that I'm getting the data I'm after. Yep. And now what he can do is he can start to organize his factory, right, to make it look whichever way he wants to make it look. Okay? Now in ICC ProveIt, we only had data tags. We now have alarms as well. Alarms related to tags. We move over all the expressions as well, all automated. And you have your Ignition metadata details available as well. Another really, really important point is that the data points have a data type. Okay? And the data type is a Boolean or, whatever the list is. What our tool can do is once you've ingested the data tags after 24 hours, we will figure out what the data type is. You don't need to decide that. But if you want to get going earlier, you go into one data type and you select what that data type is.
So real quick, in the background, so you're not just screening the value when you're viewing the value in the client. You're screening the value in the background all the time?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yep. Okay, so let's just say we've organized our factory the way we like to look at it. You can zoom in, zoom out. Now the magic starts, okay? Which is to draw the relationships, okay? So what Hamish has done there is clicked on the icon down below and he's just drawn one connection to another asset. And it's popped up and said, whoa, 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 you've just introduced a relationship. Can you please define for me what that relationship is? And what he's done over here is he's gone and clicked on a known relationship. We also have this thing called exploratory relationship. Difference between known and exploratory, known is we already know it. It's dead set. It came from Mount Sinai. God carved it in stone. Okay? Versus, I'm not quite sure, but I will just draw a line here. It's an exploratory relationship. Okay? We also have this hashtag where we can assign it to an abstract word. Why is that important? Because you might have a whole bunch of data points that pertain to reliability engineering. You just want to assign that hashtag to those data points because you're starting to create meaning around a topic of knowledge. Okay? And then down the bottom, you type the relationship. Okay? Once you do that, save and close, and you've got yourself a relationship. Yeah? Now, we did all this in ICC. Big deal, right? It's handy, but we went back to New Zealand and people said, Bob, that's all cool, but I've got 50,000 data points. How the heck am I going to write all those data points? That's a long time. So we said, well, that's a good point. So we began with the thought of, could we ingest engineering artifacts already? So we began with PNID drawings. And at the time, we just went into Claude, we loaded up a PNID drawing and said, hey, Claude, what can you tell us? Can you actually reference the PNID drawing to the data tags? And it went and said, yes, we can. And here are the relationships, right? And we see, oh, happy days. Please, MCP, automatically write those relationships into the knowledge graph. Tick, PNIDs can be done. But wait, there's more, right? The next thing we wanted to do was PLC code. So Hamish got XML output from Alan Bradley. We uploaded it into Claude, and Claude went, sorry, we've run out of context window. So we began to salami slice it, and we were able to find a match. Now, what Claude was doing at the time was going into the PLC code, going, oh, I see that data point and an instruction. That looks to me like a relationship too, right? And it was able to give us a whole list of relationships. So we were pretty happy with that, right? But then we began to realize, hey, we can't keep uploading it in Claude. So Hamish is now going to show you the relationship assistant. Okay, so what you're going to do here is you're going to upload all the engineering artifacts relevant for you to auto-draw the relationships in your factory. Okay, so maybe Hamish, you want to explain this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so all I've done then is uploaded that file, and it'll take 3 to 5 minutes just to process through, split up all the files, and then start to glean some meaning out of those files. So you guys don't have to sit here for 3 to 5 minutes. I've then got the end result right here, and we can see here that we then have a bunch of relationships that we've discovered inside that XML file.
Oh, so real quick, just so you've mapped the relationship inside the PLC code now. So now we have the tag relationships, and then separately we have the PLC code relationships. And are we correlating PLC code relationships to tag relationships?
Correct. Yep.
Oh, wow.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Fucking A, dude. I didn't see this.
No, this is new. So you can now look at all these proposed relationships as a controls engineer and go, that checks out, that checks out, that checks out, that checks out. And then you can see it in a preview of the knowledge graph, but then you can just write it. Okay? Why is that important? Because that is one set of relationships hanging over your knowledge graph. And we're going to show you very soon the AI result. But Walker, this morning you were talking about that dumb guy in the meeting room asking controls engineers. That was me, right? I was the guy that went, I know, it must be this. And the controls engineer goes, Bob, I like you, but you're so off the mark. The PLC is not programmed to do that. But I would still look at them skeptically, thinking they were lying or being difficult, right? That shouldn't happen once we've imparted the relationships in the knowledge graph, right? And that's one lot of relationships. We do PNIDs, we do SOPs, whatever engineering artifact, right? You could write a document of a 64-year-old controls engineer who's about to retire. Capture it, right? And map it, right? What we're talking about here is we're creating a particular part of the brain, okay? The place where our associative memories sit, right? Think of the control systems as your autonomic nervous system, right? It controls your blood pressure and your breathing, right? Your amygdala, your fight or flight center is like your alarm system, right? But you need a place where you can store your associative memory, right? A lot of people out there are going, I just throw an MCP on an LLM onto my raw OT data and I'm ready to rock and roll, right? It doesn't work, right? You need to architect a knowledge graph because that is part of the associative memory of your digital brain. And that's what we're building with this knowledge graph. Step by step, engineering artifact by engineering artifact.
Yep, so all I'm going to do here then is create those relationships that we found, and then there's a whole bunch that it couldn't match up. And hopefully, for you refreshing here, we'll then see all our relationships created. We can jump in here and have a look.
So that, the LLM came to, pre-populated that based on the analysis?
Correct.
Okay, now we've done it orange, not because I'm Dutch, but also because we have a search function there that allows you to look at different sets of relationships. So you see different colors and you can say, okay, these are my P&ID relationship, these are my PLC relationship. This is automated, right? But you also have human-derived relationships. Like if you're doing a hypothesis or some root cause analysis, you might go, I will create a hashtag called hypothesis1 delamination, all right? And I will assign all my data points to that hashtag and create my own exploratory relationships. That'll be a different color of relationships, right? So some people might want to go, well, what does the PLC relationships tell me? What do the P&ID relationships tell me? What do different hashtags tell me, right? So that's the purpose of the filtering and the color.
So now we want to jump to site 1. So whether we imported all those into site 3, we want to jump to site 1 and just talk you through a root cause analysis that we have put together. Now we've added a few extra tags. Sorry, Walker. So what you're looking at here actually is an alarm created in Ignition. So you can see it looks slightly different to everything else. So it's come through, all the definitions have come through from Ignition with a pressure. So what we'd noticed in the factory was that there was quite a lot of downtime at pelletizer 1. So we went through and actually created a set of pressures related to the robot arm, and we wanted to see if then Claude could come through and, using our relationships and our knowledge graph, actually trace down what the problem was. So we've got a set of pressures here, and then we created just a section down the bottom here, which is a utilities section with the actual supply pressure. So all going well then, when we go into Claude, we can then start to ask it. So it's come up all right. So this is the question that I've asked it. So for our workspace for the last week, we've noticed unplanned downtime, and we want it to go through and do some analysis and a root cause analysis. So I'll just skip through this reasonably quickly. So we want it to make sure it looks like thread stuff, so we're putting our branding in to start with. Then it starts to do its magic. So first of all, it's looking at the pelletizer 1. And so it's found that okay, and now it's going to really start to dig into the graph. So pelletizer 1 is now looking upstream and downstream. Okay, you can see the labeler 1 and 2. See if there's any issues there. And any causal relationships in the knowledge graph. So it's going to keep having a look. And then it starts to find the problem. So it's starting to then, it's looking up and down, so it's starting to look at that pressure. So then what it'll do is it'll start to actually, you can see here, that it's tracing all the way up our relationships, and it'll then go and get the data.
Hamish, can you scroll back up?
Yeah, sure.
All right. How does it know that it's directly affecting the robot's end of arm tooling pressure? Where is that found? Is it abstracting that from the structure?
No. So if we go back up in my knowledge graph here.
How is the agent determining that it's on the robot, though?
So it's traversing the relationships, right? So it's going, okay, so I'm looking at the state. The state's changing, so it's going, okay, we've got this relationship in here. which says, okay, a fault condition is dependent on.
Oh, there's the tooling pressure. Okay, there we go. So it determined it after parsing, it established that piece. Okay, there we go. All right, so
Yep.
it's pulling it from the relationship.
That's right, yeah. So
Right.
it's reversing the relationships and going, okay, what does it look like is actually going to be?
So the human's job after parsing is to make sure that the description of the relationship is correct.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
That's what we're supervising.
Yeah, but if it comes from the PLC code
Right.
and you've signed it off as a controls engineer, it's there.
Right. Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't.
No, all good. So now it's looking upstream, downstream. So I said, okay, I've got all the causal relationships mapped, and now it's going to have a look at some data. So we've got some continuous data that we're then going to be analyzing, some subcomponent data, again, some continuous. Then it's going to look at some categorical data, so that'll then be looking at things like states and that sort of thing. And it keeps going, and now it's going to start to put together an RCA output for me.
Yep. So can I just add while it's doing that, we have trained the MCP on all the root cause analysis methodologies, 5 Whys, Ishikawa, timeline analysis, right? So it kind of knows the continuous improvement stuff and now knows how to use that on the knowledge graph. So
Okay, so now this is its results, and actually I put together a well, I didn't, it did, put together a nice report for us. Yeah, I agree. So this is then the full root cause analysis. So what's our problem statement? Then it's started to see where the problems were. Then now Bob can probably talk more about
yeah,
phone analysis.
well, so we wanted to take the root cause a bit further. That's why we put the air compressor there. So we were like, okay, we've got palletizer downtime. It's the robot. It is a pneumatic issue. Where does the pneumatics come from? That's when we created the extra tags in the air compressor, because we just wanted to show you, because we're using this with clients, right? And we just want to go as far as where the root cause is. And so it has been able to organize the thinking using a fishbone. Then it's got a causal, keep going further. You've got your causal chain here, right? Your knowledge graph path to verify your thought and your thinking so that it wasn't guessing, right? Which relationships it derived it from, the data evidence anomalies, and then your recommendations down the bottom. Right. And then the summary of findings down the bottom. All right. Now that's our use case, going back to that earlier slides. Instead of yelling at each other in daily meetings and not getting anywhere, we are bringing this up, and this is helping us find the answer. Okay.
All right, so I just have, did you end up uploading P&IDs or no?
Not for.
Okay, so we saw everything, all the context and relationships that all you did was skip ahead because of the 3-minute processing, right? You went.
Yeah, I wanted to show line 3 because it wasn't as big, right? There wasn't quite as many assets and that sort of thing. But I wanted to do the root cause analysis on line 1.
Can we put their Slido up? All right, so just so y'all know, I did not know some of these features I hadn't seen yet. I was impressed based on what you show in ICC ProveIt. Wow. So I have a question. When you start with a client, how are you? I mean, this is impressive to me. Who is it you're talking to impress? Like how are you, when you're going to talk to the client, there's some things you need. You need ignition, right? Or you don't need it. You need ignition or auto solve.
Auto solve,
right?
yeah.
How are you finding the person that gets impressed by that?
Well,
Because it's the nerds in the room who understand the value,
Yeah.
right, at this point.
Well, we're still learning that, to be fair, because we went from beta to this, but we are starting to get the language right, because if I can articulate the pain, like every factory manager knows those slides, right? We go to daily meeting after daily meeting, not being able to get to the bottom of it. And once we can articulate the pain, and we've got some great war stories. I've got a story of a client a couple of weeks ago before I left, and he was skeptical, and I was on Teams, and he went, okay, smartass, we found something that took us 2 weeks to find. Show us if you can do it. And it was a hydraulic issue, right? Everyone knows the pain of hydraulics.
That's a good test,
right?
good test.
Yeah, and Claude did its thing.
Oh, we loaded up a hydraulic schematic.
Oh, yes, correct, yeah. That's
knowledge
right.
graph. And so
All right, so the problem you solved
Yeah.
was you created a relational framework from data that already existed,
Yep.
and then used that relational framework in conjunction with artificial intelligence to do an RCA on a very real world problem.
Correct.
And that's the problem you solved.
Yes.
All right, how long did it take? I mean, obviously we saw what you did, but you were redoing it after you.
How long did this one take?
Yeah, how long did it take for you to do this? How long would it take?
It didn't take me long at all. I just typed in
So an
doing the
hour?
root cause analysis, and then at the time is actually creating the HTML to spit it out. So
we
5
have to
minutes?
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But the real life example, I was on Teams doing it, going, I hope it works. I found 2 proportional valves, got it down to 1, said there's 3 root causes, either contamination, complete failure, or leakage. And Claude said, we think it's contamination. And I went, was it that? And he said, yes. And that took us 2 weeks.
And what did he say?
He went, wow, I will buy.
All right, that's what I thought. Okay, so then let's do pricing model, because obviously the engineering is essentially zero, right? It's minutes of engineering, so we'll just scratch engineering hours. Pricing model. Have you guys worked that stuff out yet?
Okay, so this.
By the way, it was beta at ICC ProveIt. It was a beta solution, and they were also the only one who came up on stage and used a beta product and installed the module just the way they did. They did it all from scratch. They didn't present anything that they already had ready. And I said, man, you have balls. That is a beta project, beta solution. And now you're MVP. No, you're more. This is
ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, this is V1. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cost.
Okay, so we got a cloud version that's $800 per month.
Okay. And is there any rails on that? It's just
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a 50 gig FIFO. So if you've got 1 tag, you'll be
Go
fine.
forever.
Yeah. We can go broke on the data volume, and if you exceed it, then there's some different tiers.
So it's $800 a month and then up.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. But if you're a small, medium business, you have got plenty of, and remember, if you want to then move the model data into a data lake, you might want to show the outputs, and so you can do a GraphQL API, you can pump it to Snowflake, Databricks, Google BigQuery, the Sesame API, and so some people would say, look, it's there for 2 weeks, but then
there's a lot more features you didn't show. What you showed was only what was pertinent to the
correct. It's one use case.
Thank you for doing that.
Right.
So many of the vendors are like going over every feature they offer, and it's like, no,
Right.
do the problem, get people to your booth, let them ask you about the product.
Now, can I ask the audience a question?
Absolutely.
Who likes the tech but is worried about cloud? Hands up.
Wow, it's 40% of the room, 35,
Okay.
40%.
All right, so my good mate Neil from Portainer was having lunch with me in January and said this was going to happen. And I said, yeah, but look, I do challenge clients. So where do you keep your sales data? In the cloud. Where do you put your financials? In the cloud. Okay, but I do get it. If you're bigger and you're in different industries, it just isn't possible. So Neil and I got talking and we drew something up, and then we got Hamish on the phone, and we pretty much have been able to plan an on-prem solution using Portainer Docker Management.
Okay.
Right, but if you're interested, please reach out to us and we will figure that. That obviously changes the pricing structure a bit, because we now are having to build something for your unique business, but I don't think it'll be a showstopper. Secondly, I want to say is this is the tool for integrators, right? So we are onboarding integrators all around the world. Dustin, AutoSol, lots and lots of integrators, because you guys are the heroes in the story. This is a product for you. It's our job to train you. You're going to go out and sell it to your clients just like you've done with Ignition. Okay, it's product-led sales. To start with, obviously, I need to stand on the stage and do this stuff, but ultimately, we want this product loved by integrators.
So is this just with Ignition, or do you have plans to make this work with, say, WinCC OA, WinCC Unified, other platforms, TatSoft?
Yeah, well, look, we want to be as open standards as possible,
okay.
Right? Obviously, Ignition, for what they stand for, what the tech is, what they are as a business, we're obviously going to love that method. And there are a lot of customers that go, we want to use the knowledge graph, and we say, do you have Ignition? And they say no, and we start with a headless Ignition on an edge or a VM, and it's a land and expand for Ignition.
What about just a native spark plug connector?
Yeah, well, I was just talking to Cedelo just before we came in here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Right, that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Also an OPC connector, right? You just go through the nodes and...
Yeah, the nice thing about Ignition, though, is you do get the alarms and we didn't show you the expressions and that sort of thing that you get.
Is Ignition currently the only way to ingest data? We'll rapid fire through these. Well, no, AutoSol is another the two connectors, right?
That's right. Yep.
Was the PLC data provided by Walker? No. How did you get access to the PLC data for one of the 3 use cases? It's a bottler, so you just needed a bottling PLC. But where did you...
my friend Claude helped me create it.
Okay, awesome. On-prem, he talked about regional hosting. It's cloud hosted. So it's multi-tenant? You spin up a tenant for each?
Yeah. And last time I was in Aussie, now it's in the US.
All well and good, Bob, but how can I publish this insight back to the broker? No one can ever be satisfied. All right.
Who asked that? Hamish?
It's got your name on it, Bob.
I'll bet that back to you.
If you have an enterprise Ignition gateway, can you build knowledge graphs for each site?
It is for each site at the moment, so it's per Ignition installers.
So it's a one-to-one Ignition gateway, and then your module goes in, you select which providers to push.
That's right.
So the answer would be you could do knowledge graphs based on each provider, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The provider's the root object.
Yeah.
So the answer is your answer is yes.
Yeah, and we've got some things to improve on the gateway, because you don't want to move 500,000 data points. Like, please don't do that. Don't try and boil the ocean. Pick the tags and get some good use and meaning out of it. Otherwise, you get stuck in the mud in 2 or 3 days, and then you won't love our product. And
while
that's
we
not
answer
our fault.
other questions, Hamish, do you have an example of doing data mapping from a PDF or a text document? That you
We've got our workshop tomorrow. Maybe we can show you.
What time's your workshop?
2:30.
2:30 tomorrow is their workshop.
Mitch?
You'll be able to see that. Do the Ignition tags have to be OPC tags to map to the PLC logic? No, because you saw MQTT engine in there as a provider, right? So it's just any Ignition tag. Okay.
That's right. Yep.
Is your knowledge graph RDF triples? Why or why not?
Does it have what? Sorry.
Is your graph RDF triples?
What's the triple?
It's a style of graphing.
Ah.
The answer is no. It's
No.
not RDF triples.
Okay, sorry,
And
we don't know
why not?
that.
It sounds like
Yeah.
he doesn't do RDF triples. I see the value in using thread as part of my initial inventory of the current state of the business. So,
Indeed.
Let's follow that up.
Okay.
What's the value after the initial mapping? Well, RCA would be continuous RCA.
Absolutely. But the other thing is, and this is what we're working with AutoSol, is the whole reverse engineering and accelerating SCADA conversion. So we are taking legacy SCADA, uploading SCADA screens, PLC code, engineering artifacts. Then we build a model knowledge graph to accelerate and reduce the engineering cost of converting to, say, an ignition. Because there are a lot of cases out there where people say, we love ignition, it's not the license, it's the engineering time that's so hard. And the engineering time is domain knowledge. Funnily, a knowledge graph captures domain knowledge. So,
can the tool analyze relationships with expression tags, named queries, DB schema, et cetera, with an ignition?
Yeah, so it brings through both expressions and alarm relationships.
Okay. But it wouldn't be something like, say, a tag event script. That's not coming through, or is it?
No,
okay.
That'd be, that's slightly harder, but yeah.
So it's basically everything up to tag event script.
Yeah,
you'll be able to see that. Not a question, but this is the most elegant thing I have heard of for a long time. No shit. This is, yeah.
thank you.
Well stated. At a typical manufacturing site, what percentage of relationships can be discovered automatically, this is a good one, compared to those that have to be manually input?
It's quite early days.
Yeah.
That number's
What's your gut? You guys have enough? Should people be prepared 50-50?
Well, look, if you've got decent PNIDs, but if you've got a PNID that you've photocopied 30 times, eaten your lunch on, and is 30 years old, it's not going to be helpful. So, but if you've got, one client, we've only got one folder with 10,000 tags that go 3, 4, 8 underscore. We've got a bit of work to do. You can't turn that into magic, can you?
Did you do a from manufacturers question or no? Did you do a question? Okay, because I was going to have them scroll to find it.
Yeah.
Oh, the Bob question was okay. In terms of PLCs, can it use things like PID blocks to create cause and effect relationships between things like pump speed and downstream pressure, for example?
Oh, that's a good question.
What's that?
Give it a crack. It's not something I've done.
Yeah. I don't see why not. It's not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Can the relationships be used for traditional ML models like regression, anomaly detection, et cetera? How do you export relationships? So you already said Snowflake is egress.
Yeah,
so,
and GraphQL, for instance.
Yep.
So you just create a new, and then we can help you do whatever you need to do.
Are you going to cover any of that in the workshop? Any of that piece? Egress?
Not the outputs. We're just going to go deeper into the root cause analysis.
Are there limits on the number of tags, and have you tested for scalability yet?
Sorry, what was the question?
A limit on the number of tags to import. Have you tested for scalability?
Yeah, we have. At the moment, the limit's actually in the rendering of the knowledge graph rather than the throughput.
So it's the renderer?
Yeah, so we're trying to come up with nice ways to still show all of your data points.
But what's the cap now?
Well, tested to 100,000, but...
So the question is, only cloud, how about cybersecurity and data sovereignty for regulated OT data? So only cloud right now, working on on-prem, they'll do on-prem, and they're also working with containerized deployment. But do you want to answer the question about cybersecurity and data sovereignty for regulated OT data?
Yes. Well, we have done a fair bit of work about that, and we're going to probably cover that also in the workshop tomorrow.
Okay. Can the chatbot be integrated into Ignition or Thread Cloud platform instead of going to Claude?
We're in the process of doing that.
Perfect. Who's the greatest rugby team of all time?
I'm not going to answer that. It's the South Africans that planted that question.
Hey, Hamish, how are you confirming the accuracy of your relationships?
So that's the human, but that's where we go. You need a person to verify, because...
Yeah.
If you set up code as a relationship with equip issue, could it find software bugs as well? And could this help with facility commissioning?
Yes, potentially. I mean, some of these questions is you just got to give it a crack. I mean, thing is around the validation of the relationships, the user is is controlling this, right? And we have a gap at the moment between LLMs and raw data trust. We don't know, we can't trust what we're being told. So when we upload the relationships, right, we also track who did it, right? So the right authorities sign off the relationships so that the right expert has actually signed off those relationships. right? So we have an audit trail. This is really, really important that it's not just a throw spaghetti at a wall and hope something happens. So.
Can you get a bigger room for your workshop? It's going to be full. You fucking amazing guys. Well done. Yeah. And I think with that, there were, by the way, 45 questions. So for all of the sessions that I have emceed, that is the most number of questions. The vendors should know that you've succeeded based on the number of questions that are asked after your session, and that's the most we've had. Why don't we give you guys a huge round of applause? I told you you'd be impressed. I knew it.